Imagine waking up tomorrow to news reports of something impossible. A creature the size of a bus, armored like a tank, crawling through the streets of Miami. Another report from the Amazon, a serpent so massive it swallowed a fisherman's boat hole. And then, the footage that breaks the internet. Security cameras capturing a pack of prehistoric predators tearing through a suburban neighborhood in Australia. This isn't science fiction. This is what would happen if the rulers of ancient Earth returned. If you're fascinated by the terrifying power of nature and want to see just how fragile our dominance really is, hit that like button and subscribe, because what you're about to discover will change how you see our place on this planet forever. For billions of years, Earth has been a stage for creatures so powerful that they make modern predators look like house pets. We humans arrived late, yet crowned ourselves kings. We built cities, created weapons, and convinced ourselves nothing could threaten us. But here's the truth. Our supremacy exists only because the true rulers went extinct. And scientists are now attempting something that could undo millions of years of history. They're trying to bring them back. Let's start with something that would turn your worst nightmare into a walk in the park. 300 million years ago, long before the first dinosaur drew breath, the Earth's atmosphere contained nearly 35% oxygen, almost double what we breathe today. This supercharged air allowed insects and arthropods to grow to sizes that defy imagination. Flying through the prehistoric skies were dragonflies with wingspans exceeding 2 feet. But they weren't the real monsters of this era. In the shadowy depths of carboniferous forests where fern trees towered like office buildings lived Arthropleura, a millipede the length of a car, 9 feet from head to tail, wide enough that you couldn't wrap your arms around. Its body was segmented into hundreds of chitinous plates harder than steel, creating a living tank weighing as much as a full-grown human. When paleontologists discovered its fossils, they thought they'd found sea creature remains. They were wrong. This monster walked on land. What makes Arthropleura terrifying? It needed no weapons, no fangs, no claws. Its size and impenetrable armor meant every predator stepped aside. Scientists believe the fossils might just be molted exoskeletons, meaning the living creature could have been even larger. Now imagine this in today's world, emerging from sewers, squeezing through subway tunnels, scaling walls. Even as an herbivore, Arthropleura would be unstoppable. And unlike mammals, arthropods reproduce in staggering numbers. A single breeding population could overrun a city within months. The serpent that ate dinosaurs, Titanoboa. If Arthropleura represents the terror of the ancient forests, then Titanoboa embodies the nightmare of tropical waters. 60 million years ago, in the steaming swamps of what is now Colombia, the Earth was recovering from the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs. The planet was hotter than it is today. Average temperatures hovering near 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and in this greenhouse world, a new apex predator emerged. Titanoboa was a constrictor that made modern anacondas look like garden snakes. Stretching over 50 feet and weighing nearly 2,500 pounds, this serpent was the undisputed master. Its body was as thick as a man's torso, composed of pure muscle capable of snapping a crocodile's spine. When paleontologists analyzed its vertebrae, they couldn't believe the measurements. This snake was physically impossible by modern standards, yet it existed. Its hunting strategy was patient and devastating. It would lie motionless in murky water for hours. When prey came to drink, Titanoboa would strike with explosive speed. Once its coils wrapped around prey, escape was impossible. Each time the victim exhaled, the snake tightened, collapsing lungs and stopping hearts. What killed Titanoboa? Climate change. As temperatures dropped, these cold-blooded giants couldn't maintain body heat, but our planet is warming again. The Amazon, Florida Everglades, Southeast Asian rivers, all becoming hotter and more tropical. Could these conditions allow Titanoboa to return? More terrifying, there are occasional reports from remote rivers of snakes that defy explanation. Most scientists dismiss these as exaggerations, but what if they're not? The marsupial nightmare, Thylacoleo. When we think of Australia, we picture cuddly koalas and bounding kangaroos, cute, harmless creatures that wouldn't hurt a fly. But ancient Australia was no playground. It was a death trap ruled by carnivorous birds the size of horses, venomous lizards longer than your car, and one predator so efficient at killing that scientists still struggle to believe it was real. Meet Thylacoleo carnifex, the CEO marsupial lion. Don't let the cute-sounding name fool you. This creature was a killing machine that made African lions look inefficient. Weighing up to 350 pounds and built like a compact muscle car, Thylacoleo possessed the strongest bite force relative to body size of any mammal in Earth's history. Its jaws weren't designed for typical biting. They were biological bolt cutters, capable of shearing through bone with a bite force exceeding 7,000 pounds per square inch. One bite to the throat, and even the largest prey would bleed out in seconds. But the bite was just one weapon in its arsenal. Thylacoleo's front limbs were equipped with enormous, curved claws. Think bear claws on steroids, perfect for slashing, gripping, and climbing. Yes, climbing. This predator could scale trees and rock faces with ease, hunting from above like a leopard, but with far more power. Imagine walking through Australian bushland, hearing a rustle in the branches above, and looking up to see 350 pounds of pure predatory muscle launching down at you. What makes Thylacoleo even more remarkable is where it sat in the ancient ecosystem. Australia, 50,000 years ago, was ruled by reptiles, massive monitor lizards like Megalania, enormous crocodiles, and giant snakes. Yet Thylacoleo, a mammal in a reptile's world, not only survived but thrived. It hunted animals larger than itself, including giant kangaroos and wombats the size of small cars. Deep in Australian caves, archaeologists have found the bones of these megafauna with distinctive slash marks and puncture wounds, Thylacoleo's calling card. Even more disturbing are the human remains found in these same caves. Early Aboriginal peoples encountered Thylacoleo, and they didn't always survive. Indigenous legends speak of a pouch demon that hunted humans in the night, dragging victims into the darkness never to be seen again. Most scientists believed these were just myths, until they found human bones with Thylacoleo tooth marks. If this predator returned today, Australia's outback would become a no-go zone. Hikers, campers, and rural residents would face a threat that our ancestors barely survived with fire and primitive weapons. In a world of modern humans with soft bodies and slower reflexes, Thylacoleo would be an extinction-level threat to anyone who ventured into the bush. Rivers of Death, Deinosuchus. Modern crocodiles are already among the world's most dangerous predators, responsible for hundreds of human deaths annually. But before modern crocs evolved, there was something far worse lurking in prehistoric waters. A creature that made today's reptiles look like toys. Deinosuchus, terrible crocodile, lived 82 to 75 million years ago in the rivers and swamps of North America. At over 40 feet long and weighing up to 8 tons, it was essentially a modern crocodile scaled up 3 times, with power to match. Its skull alone measured nearly 6 feet, large enough to swallow a human in a single bite. The teeth were designed for one purpose: crushing dinosaur bone. Paleontologists have found Tyrannosaurus bones with Deinosuchus tooth marks, suggesting this prehistoric crocodile didn't just hunt dinosaurs, it killed and ate them. The hunting method was pure terror. Like modern crocodiles, Deinosuchus would submerge itself in murky water, only its eyes and nostrils breaking the surface. It could remain perfectly still for hours, days even, waiting for prey to come close. When a dinosaur bent down to drink, Deinosuchus would explode from the water with shocking speed, its jaws clamping shut with a force of 18,000 newtons, 3 times more powerful than any modern crocodile. The bite wouldn't just injure, it would shatter bone, tear off limbs, and drag entire dinosaurs underwater to drown. Now imagine this creature in today's world. Every river, lake, and coastal area would become a death zone. That peaceful fishing spot? Potentially hiding a 40-foot monster beneath the surface. Children playing at the beach? One step too far into the shallows could end in tragedy. Deinosuchus wouldn't need to hunt humans specifically. We'd simply be easy prey, soft-bodied and slow in the water. The Mississippi River, the Amazon, and the Nile all would become as dangerous as swimming in shark-infested waters, except crocodiles are ambush predators that you never see coming. Modern society, built around waterways and coastlines, would have to fundamentally change. No more riverside cities, no more beachfront properties, no more casual swims in natural bodies of water. Deinosuchus would reclaim every aquatic environment, and humans would have to retreat inland. The impossible predator, Megalania. Australia's prehistoric horrors weren't limited to marsupials. During the Pleistocene, the continent was home to a reptilian nightmare that combined size, power, and venom into a single killing machine. Varanus priscus, better known as Megalania, was the largest terrestrial lizard that ever lived, and it shared the land with early humans. Picture a Komodo dragon on steroids, up to 23 feet long, and weighing potentially over a ton. But size alone didn't make Megalania special. Like its modern Komodo relatives, scientists believe it possessed venom glands that secreted a cocktail of toxins designed to thin blood and prevent clotting. A single bite from Megalania would start a clock of doom. The venom would spread through the victim's bloodstream, causing blood vessels to expand and preventing wounds from clotting. Within hours, the prey would weaken from blood loss, making it easy for Megalania to follow at a leisurely pace and finish the job. Its teeth, razor-sharp, backward curving, and up to 2 inches long, were designed for one thing: tearing flesh. Each bite would rip away chunks of muscle and skin, and those wounds would never stop bleeding thanks to the venom. Megalania didn't need to overpower its prey immediately. It was a patient killer. It could track wounded prey for miles, days even, waiting for the venom to do its work. Here's the truly terrifying part. Megalania went extinct only about 50,000 years ago. Early humans didn't just know about this creature, they lived alongside it and competed with it for resources. Some researchers believe that human hunting and habitat destruction through fire contributed to its extinction. But what if Megalania returned? Modern Australia already struggles with invasive species and dangerous wildlife. Add a 1-ton venomous lizard that can sprint at 15 miles per hour, climb trees, and swim through rivers, and you have a predator that no environment could contain. Rural areas would be evacuated, livestock would be slaughtered, and humans, with our soft skin and slow reflexes, would learn what it's like to be prey again. The ultimate mammalian predator, Andrewsarchus. When we think of prehistoric mammals, we usually imagine slow, timid creatures hiding from dinosaurs. But millions of years after the dinosaurs fell, mammals evolved to fill every predatory niche, and some grew to sizes that challenge our understanding of what's possible for land-based carnivores. Andrewsarchus mongoliensis lived approximately 45 million years ago in what is now Mongolia. Based on skull fragments, paleontologists estimate it stood 6 feet tall at the shoulder, stretched 16 feet from nose to tail, and weighed nearly 2,000 pounds. To put this in perspective, it was roughly the size of a modern bison, but unlike bison, Andrewsarchus was a dedicated predator equipped with jaws that could crack elephant bones. Its skull was enormous, over 3 feet long, and housed teeth designed for both tearing flesh and crushing bone. The front teeth were sharp blades for slicing, while the back teeth were thick crushers capable of pulverizing even the strongest bones to access the nutritious marrow inside. This dental arrangement meant Andrewsarchus could eat every part of its prey, wasting nothing. Fossil evidence suggests it hunted alone, stalking prey over long distances with the patience of a big cat but the power of a bear. The thought of Andrewsarchus in the modern world should terrify anyone who enjoys outdoor activities. Unlike modern predators that have learned to fear humans, Andrewsarchus would see us as we truly are, small, weak, and defenseless. A 2,000-pound predator with jaws strong enough to crush car doors would make short work of human defenses. Guns might stop one, but these creatures hunted in solitude, meaning each individual would be a separate threat. National parks, hiking trails, and rural communities would face an apex predator that hunted by instinct and persistence, tracking prey across vast distances until exhaustion set in. The giant ape, Gigantopithecus. Every culture has legends of giant apes: Bigfoot in North America, the Yeti in the Himalayas, the Yowie in Australia. Most scientists dismiss these as myths, but what if there's a grain of truth buried in these stories? What if our ancestors encountered something so massive and terrifying that the memory has echoed through the millennia? Gigantopithecus blacki was the largest primate that ever lived. Standing up to 10 feet tall and weighing over 100 pounds, it towered over modern humans and gorillas alike. Covered in thick, dark fur and possessing arms that nearly touched the ground, it would have been a sight that inspired both awe and terror. This creature lived in the bamboo forests of Southeast Asia from approximately 2 million to 300,000 years ago, meaning it definitely encountered early human ancestors like Homo erectus. While primarily herbivorous, feeding on bamboo and fruits, Gigantopithecus possessed immense strength. A single blow from its massive fists could shatter bones. When threatened, it could tear apart potential predators with ease, including early humans who might have competed for territory or resources. Archaeological evidence from Chinese caves shows Gigantopithecus teeth found alongside primitive stone tools, suggesting our ancestors and these giant apes lived in close proximity, and not always peacefully. Climate change and habitat loss likely drove Gigantopithecus to extinction. As bamboo forests shrank, these giants couldn't adapt quickly enough. Their massive size required enormous amounts of food, up to 100 pounds of vegetation daily, and when that food disappeared, so did they. But some researchers believe the arrival of more sophisticated humans, armed with fire and advanced hunting techniques, may have accelerated their demise. If Gigantopithecus returned today, we would no longer be the sole intelligent primate on Earth. Imagine encountering a 10-foot-tall ape in a forest. Its intelligence comparable to a gorilla's. Its strength 10 times that of a human. It wouldn't be aggressive by nature, but it wouldn't fear us either. And when territorial disputes arose, which they inevitably would, humans with our fragile bodies would be catastrophically outmatched. Perhaps the legends of Bigfoot and Yeti aren't just folklore. Perhaps they're ancestral memories of a time when we weren't the only thinking, tool-using apes on this planet. The terror pig, Entelodon. When we think of pigs, we picture farm animals, plump, lazy, and harmless. But during the Oligocene epoch, around 30 million years ago, evolution produced a version of pigs that would haunt your nightmares. Entelodon, meaning complete teeth, was not your average barnyard animal. Standing 6 feet tall at the shoulder and weighing up to 2,000 pounds, Entelodon possessed a head the size of a bull's and jaws that could crush bones. Unlike modern pigs, which are primarily scavengers and omnivores, Entelodon was an opportunistic predator with razor-sharp teeth and long, powerful legs that allowed it to run at speeds comparable to horses. Fossil evidence shows these creatures were violent, aggressive, and intelligent enough to hunt in coordinated groups. The hunting strategy was terrifying in its simplicity. A pack of Entelodons would charge at prey at 25 miles per hour, squealing and grinding their teeth in a sound that paralyzed victims with fear. Once they caught their prey, which included ancient horses, cattle, and small rhinos, they would use their massive jaws to break bones and tear flesh. Unlike modern predators that kill quickly, Entelodons often fed on prey while it was still alive, ripping meat from bones with savage efficiency. Perhaps most disturbing is that Entelodons were cannibalistic. When food was scarce, they had no qualms about attacking and eating members of their own species. This behavior suggests a level of desperation and violence that goes beyond normal predatory instincts. These were creatures driven by pure, insatiable hunger. If Entelodon returned to our world, no rural area would be safe. Imagine a herd of 2,000-pound prehistoric pigs, each the size of a small car, charging through farmland at highway speeds. They would devastate livestock, destroy crops, and view humans as just another prey species. Unlike wolves or bears that fear humans, Entelodons would see our settlements as buffets. Villages could be overrun in hours, and even modern weapons might not stop a determined pack before significant damage occurred. The saw-jawed horror Helicoprion. The oceans have always been humanity's final frontier, vast, mysterious, and filled with creatures we barely understand. But millions of years ago, the seas contained predators so alien, so bizarrely adapted, that scientists initially thought their fossils were a hoax. Helicoprion lived approximately 290 million years ago, and it possessed one of the strangest predatory organs in all of natural history. Instead of normal teeth, its lower jaw contained a spiral whorl of serrated teeth, like a circular saw blade, measuring up to 3 feet in diameter. This tooth whorl contained hundreds of razor-sharp teeth arranged in a perfect spiral, and as Helicoprion grew, new teeth were added to the spiral while old ones rotated inward. When paleontologists first discovered these spiral fossils, they had no idea what creature they belonged to or how the structure functioned. It seemed impossible. How could an animal use a spiral saw for feeding? But eventually, they realized this shark could close its jaws in a rotating motion, using the tooth whorl to saw through prey like a living wood chipper. Anything caught in those jaws would be shredded into ribbons of flesh. Helicoprion grew up to 25 feet long and hunted by instinct, striking at movement and vibration in the water. Its prey included large fish, squid, and other sharks. The spiral saw didn't just bite. It ground prey into paste, pulverizing bone and flesh with each rotation. Modern sharks are dangerous, but they kill relatively cleanly. Helicoprian's method was brutal, prolonged, and nightmarish. If Helicoprion existed today, our relationship with the ocean would fundamentally change. Swimming, surfing, and diving would become suicidal activities. Unlike great white sharks that mistake humans for seals, Helicoprion would view anything in the water as potential prey. Its tooth whorl was designed to tear apart tough-skinned marine animals, meaning human flesh would offer no resistance. Coastal communities, beach resorts, and fishing industries would face an existential threat from a predator that hunts by the oldest instinct. If it moves, attack it. Why it matters. The fragility of human dominance. Our ancestors lived in constant fear of creatures that saw us not as dominant. Modern humans control barely 3% of Earth's biomass, yet we believe we're masters of the planet. But what if that's an illusion? What if our dominance exists only because the real rulers went extinct? Scientists today are working on de-extinction projects. Using preserved DNA and genetic engineering, they're attempting to resurrect extinct species. Arthropleura would overrun cities. Titanoboa would reclaim rivers. Thylacoleo would turn forests into death traps. Deinosuchus would make every waterway lethal. These aren't just fascinating curiosities. They're a warning. A reminder that this planet belongs to forces far older and more powerful than human civilization. We are not the culmination of evolution. We're just the species that happened to survive while others didn't. They failed not because they were weak, but because the world changed faster than they could adapt. Climate shifts and environmental catastrophes erased them. The takeaway? Respect nature's power. Understand that our position at the top isn't guaranteed. The creatures we've discussed were far more adapted to survival than we are. In Earth's grand timeline, humanity is barely a blip. We've been here for a fraction of a second in geological terms. If this video changed how you think about humanity's place in nature, make sure you're subscribed to more content that challenges our assumptions. Leave a comment telling me which prehistoric creature terrifies you most. Until next time, remember, we're only at the top because the real predators went extinct. Let's hope it stays that way.